the purpose of nominating a candidate for the 1st Congressional District, United States Congress.
Thank you, Connie. I would like to introduce you all to the committee chairman and the temporary officers. Congressional Temporary Secretary Connie Irwin, Congressional Rules Chairman Paul Smith, Congressional Permanent Organization Chairman Mike Vieira, and Congressional Credentials Committee Chairman Mary Baker. First, we'll take up the report of the Credentials Committee, and to do so, I would like to introduce Mary Baker of the Credentials Committee to present the committee's report.
Hello, Madam Chairman from Southington, Connecticut here. Committee of me, John Tansky, and Sarah Muska reviewed the delegate listing who registered. There are 164 delegates present and 9 duly appointed alternates, bringing the total number of delegates at the convention to 173. Madam Chairman, I move adoption of the temporary roll.
Without objection, the previous question is ordered. The question is on the table for adoption of the resolution. Will you remark further? Will you remark further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the roll is adopted. The chair now recognizes Mike Vieira, a representative of the Committee on Permanent Organization.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, delegates, and guests. I have the pleasure to present to you the report of the Committee on Permanent Organization. The committee met last week to discuss our mission of recommending to the convention the slate of permanent officers for the 2020 Connecticut Republican Convention. The committee unanimously adopted as its report the full list of recommended permanent officers and recommends that the permanent chairman of this congressional convention, Kara Pavlak. The committee further recommends that Connie Irwin be entered into the record of this convention as the permanent secretary. Madam Chairman, I move adoption of the resolution.
Without objection, the previous question is ordered. The question is on the table for adoption of the resolution. Will you remark further? Will you remark further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the permanent officers are adopted. Please welcome representative of the Committee on Rules, Paul Smith.
Madam Chairman, fellow delegates, I offer the following resolution asks for its immediate consideration. The report of the Committee on Rules and Order of Business has been printed. I'm sorry, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Without objection, the previous question is ordered. The question is on the table for adoption of the resolution. Will you remark further? Will you remark further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the rules are adopted. As prescribed under the rules, the total time for nominating speeches shall not exceed 2 minutes, and the seconding speeches for any candidate shall not exceed 1 minute. The candidates must be chosen randomly, so to randomly reach in the bowl. And the first name is Jim Griffin. For the purposes of nomination, the chair recognizes Joe Hoxha.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Joe Hoxha. I am one of the state central members. I am from the 31st. And I'm here today to nominate Bristol native James L. Griffin, or better known as Jim Griffin, for United States Congress in the 1st Congressional District. Jim has had a distinguished career, starting from his time as a West Point grad to his time in the United States Senate. Above all else, what stood out to me the most about Jim was his unique foreign policy experience, something that a congressman must be well versed in. Jim traveled to the Balkans in the late 90s on several peacekeeping missions during a time when there was bitter conflict and devastation. His efforts culminated in him being part of the Rambouillet Conference that resulted in peace between the warring factions in what was known as the former Yugoslavia, or what is known as the former Yugoslavia, and that saw an end to Europe's last dictator, Slobodan Milosevic. He received for his efforts various accolades by the United States government, including from the State Department and from the Department of Defense, and from other governments of NATO member countries. And for this, Jim is my choice, and hopefully yours, for Congress in the 1st Congressional District of Connecticut. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And for the purposes of a second, the chair recognizes Juliana Simone. Juliana, if you want to do the second in nomination, you don't have to, but you have that opportunity to do that now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. In the 16 years I've been a member of the Barkhamsted Republican Town Committee, we've seen a lot of first congressional candidates come and go every 2 years trying to take out the incumbent John Larson. We've tried men, women, small business owners, investment brokers, engineers, office workers, all kinds of people we thought would have the right appeal to put a Republican in the 1st congressional seat, except one, a candidate who actually has worked in Washington, D.C. and has firsthand experience working there. It's one thing to want to work there, it's another to actually have worked there. Jim Griffin has worked for U.S. Senator Richard Lugar and in the Reagan administration, working in the Office of Management and Budget Committee, and has been a member of both political parties, smartly switching to the Republican Party years ago as he saw the Democrat Party become nothing like he remembered it to be. Born and raised in Bristol, an Eagle Scout, a graduate of West Point, a lieutenant colonel who served active duty for 7 years, and then a member of the National Guard, he went on to earn a master's degree from Georgetown and took some extra courses in economics at Johns Hopkins. He took up the cause to save the famed Hartford Colt building from being turned into apartments and is now working on making it a national landmark and museum as another attraction for people to come visit our state of Connecticut. I'm proud to second the nomination of Jim Griffin.
Thank you, Juliana. And now the second candidate, Mary Fay. And for the purposes of a nomination, the chair recognizes Senator Joe Markley.
Thank you, Kara. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, my fellow Republicans, to nominate Mary Fay to be our candidate in the 1st Congressional District. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, my fellow Republicans, to nominate Mary Fay to be our candidate in the 1st Congressional District. I met Mary first a couple of years ago when she was a candidate for state representative, and I liked her immediately. She was smart, articulate, funny, courageous, and determined. I thought she was everything a candidate needed to be. And she has appeal, which is a very important thing. And she's been tested as a Republican candidate before. She's been a stand-up Republican in a very tough town. She's in her 2nd term as a councilwoman in West Hartford. She's never been afraid to shake up the system or to stand up to the powers that be. And she has a very fine background. Mary was raised in East Hartford. She went to Skidmore College, and she has decades of experience as a corporate executive, especially in the financial services industry. She knows the challenges that are involved in running in the 1st Congressional District. And she will give the voters of our district a very clear choice between herself and the incumbent, between the philosophy of our party and the philosophy of the Democratic Party. She will advocate forcefully and articulately for our platform and for our principles. And she will work well on behalf of our candidates. She's somebody that we can be proud to support. And I ask you to join me now in casting your vote for Mary Fay for the Republican nomination for Congress in the 1st District. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. For the purposes of a second, the chair recognizes Mark Merritt. Mark? We're having some technical difficulties with Mark. If you can hold on just a second, everyone. Would anybody else like to second the nomination of Mary Fay? There's Mark. And I can't hear Mark either, but I see him there. Okay, the chair would like to recognize Diane Hennersdorf. Diane, can you hear me? Let's try Diane.
I can hear you, but I am not necessarily in a position to do a seconding. I didn't think my hand was up, but I just turned it off.
Okay, do you want to second the nomination of Mary Fay? You don't have to make a speech.
Be willing to say I would second her for the purposes of the nomination.
Thank you. Since more than one nomination has been made, in accordance with the rules of this convention, delegates will soon receive a poll to cast their ballot. We will have balloting open for 5 minutes to allow for those sharing a device to each cast their ballots. And so now that time will begin. You have 5 minutes to cast your ballot. There's 1 minute remaining. And voting is now closed. The chair would like to recognize Diane Hernsdorf. Diane, do you have a question? You may have done that by accident. All right. The chair will entertain a motion to close balloting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. The question is on closing the nominations for United States Congress. Will you remark further? Will you remark further? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed by saying no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The ballot is now closed. The convention will stand at ease while the tally is calculated. The convention will come back to order. And the vote tally is in, and Mary Fay has received the majority of votes and is the Republican Party's endorsed candidate for the office of United States Congress. Mary, would you like to say anything? I'll give Mary a couple more seconds just in case. Mary Fay? Mary, make sure you take yourself off mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Oh my goodness gracious. All this new technology. I was on a budget call actually for the town of West Hartford as the town councilor, and we had a different technology. So I've been bouncing back and forth between them all, but I am so excited to be the nominee for Congress in the 1st District. I know many of you on the call, and I've corresponded with a lot of you, and I'm really, really looking forward to getting to know the rest of you. So a little bit more that I think is interesting. I grew up in East Hartford, and my mom was a teacher there in town, and we come from a pretty large family. I have 3 siblings, and lo and behold, when I got to Penny High School, my history teacher was no other than Mr. John B. Larson. And he coached the basketball team, of which I was a player. And so I got to know him in that capacity. And then my mom taught his children in town. So it's been interesting. I've always wanted to do this. My career, I've had the benefit of really a lot of luck and a lot of good people around me. And I achieved a very high rank at a young age. And when I was in my 30s, I was a senior vice president in GE Capital. And it took me different places. So the timing was perfect now. I've been back. I've always maintained a house in West Hartford, so I've never really left. But I've taken jobs that have been out of state. And so I've got to see other perspectives, other municipalities, other state governments, and national governments. In fact, I was in Washington, D.C. as part of the group that President Trump wanted to come down so that we could meet all his administrators. And we met Larry Kudlow and other cabinet members. He wanted to connect the dots. So I'm very proud to be running. I will work my tail off. I promise you that. I have a reputation as a very, very hard worker, and I promise to do that throughout this campaign. I'm thrilled to be nominated, so thank you, Senator Markley. And thank you for the second. I apologize, someone who knows me really well, Mark Merritt, who's the chair of our RTC in West Hartford. He was going to do the second thing, but he couldn't get through on the audio. So there's going to be plenty more to come. I can't wait to see you all in person as soon as this COVID allows us to. And I'm very excited. I'm excited to bring my business acumen. I've learned a lot on the campaign trail. This will be my fourth campaign in 4 years, but I love being out there. I love meeting people. And I want to spread our message that we've got to take care of the people who are the producers, and we need to take care of citizens, and we need to give opportunity across the board through education and other things. But we got to grow the middle class. We've got to stop hammering, quite frankly, with taxes the middle class. So I can't wait to start and hit the campaign trail. And I really appreciate everybody who supported me in this convention. I sincerely appreciate it, and I'm thrilled to death, and I'm excited to be your candidate and to represent you in Washington, D.C. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary Fay, and congratulations.
Thank you.
At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn CNADA. The question is on adjournment. Will you remark further? Will you remark further? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The convention stands adjourned, CNADA.